Elisha and the Siege of Samaria. At the entrance of the gate of Samaria there were 4 men who had a skin disease called leprosy. They said to one another, "Why should we stay here until we die? Suppose we say we'll go into the city. There isn't any food there and we'll die. But if we stay here, we'll die anyway. So let's go over to Aram's army camp. Let's give ourselves up. If they spare us, we'll live. If they kill us, we'll die." At sunset they got up and went to Aram's army camp. They arrived at the edge of it, but there was no one there. The Lord had caused the soldiers of Aram to hear a noise. It sounded like chariots and horses and a huge army. So the soldiers said to one another, "Listen, the king of Israel has hired the Hittite and the Egyptian kings. He has paid them to attack us." So the soldiers of Aram had run away at sunset. They had left their tents and horses and donkeys behind. They had left the camp just as it was, and they had run for their lives. The men who had a skin disease arrived at the entry of the camp. They entered one of the tents. They ate and drank, and they took silver, gold, and clothes. They went off and hid them. They returned and entered another tent. They took some things from it and hid them also. But then they said to one another, "What we're doing isn't right. This is a day of good news, and we're keeping it to ourselves. If we wait until sunrise, we'll be punished. Let's go at once. Let's report this to the royal palace." So they went. They called out to the people who were guarding the city gates. They told them, "We went into Aram's army camp. No one was there. We didn't hear anyone. The horses and donkeys were still tied up. The tents were left just as they were." The people who guarded the gate shouted the news. It was reported inside the palace. The king of Israel got up in the night. He spoke to his officers. He said, "I'll tell you what the men of Aram have done to us. They know we are very hungry, so they have left the camp to hide in the countryside. They are thinking, we are sure they'll come out, and then we'll take them alive and we'll get into the city." One of the king's officers said, "A few horses are still left in the city. Have some men get 5 of them. These men won't be any worse off than the other Israelites who are left here. In fact, all of us will soon be dead anyway. So let's send the men to find out what happened." The men chose 2 chariots and their horses. The king sent them out to look for Aram's army. He commanded the drivers, "Go and find out what has happened." They followed the trail of Aram's soldiers all the way to the Jordan River. They found clothes and supplies all along the road. The soldiers had thrown them down when they ran away, so the men who were sent out returned. They reported to the king what they had seen. The people went out of the city. They took everything of value from Aram's army camp, so food instantly became cheaper and affordable for the people who were starving in the city. That's exactly what the Lord had said would happen. The king had put an officer in charge of the city gate. He was the officer who had doubted Elisha's prophecy. On their way out of the city, the people knocked the officer down. In the entrance of the gate, he was crushed as they walked on top of him, and so he died. That's exactly what the man of God had said would happen. He had said it when the king came down to his house. What Elisha, the man of God, had told the king came true.